my god, this smells so good. You remember when we were making the baba fan, the sticky rice, and I was like, it smells like popcorn? This butter is what smells like popcorn. Popcorn. Oop. Holy shit. This butter smells so good, and I'm so sad Mom did not use it. But just to set expectations, it's already 9:20. I have work tomorrow. I have to wake up probably at 7, get on the train by 8. So I'm not going to be baking tonight. I will be making some doughs. We'll let the dough sit in the fridge, and maybe come the weekend we'll bake it. But I figured might as well get the project started rather than not start at all. Instant Pot is still going. We still have 7 minutes left on the cook time. I guess it took a very long while for that to come up to pressure. But let's go. Let's use up this expired butter that I gifted Mom many a moons ago. I don't think I'll be doing much measuring. Maybe just with a scale so that we get an approximation. What I'm thinking is I have some really old matcha that is basically discolored now. I'm pretty sure it is no good. It still smells like matcha, so we're gonna make some matcha digestives. I also still have some of this pinole left over. You've seen this on a Budget Eats episode before. We can kind of put a little bit of this into the oat flour. I'm thinking we can put in some milk powder for extra dairy kick. I also have instant coffee, so we could do like a coffee digestive potentially too. Like a cafe au lait kind of deal. Reminder to stay hydrated. Oh my gosh, are you gonna buy the Viennetta? Good night, Itty Life. Or actually, there's no I after your L, so I have no idea how to pronounce your username. We also have coconut, which we could put in. What is wrong with my fridge? Huh. I think a piece of it might have fallen out and I need to do something about it. We have some black sesame seeds. I wish I had a spice grinder because I would make an Earl Grey version right now, but I guess I can try to blend it up in the Vitamix. It might be very... it might not work with that little amount. We'll see. We shall see. Okay. Let's see. Let's do about 120 grams of oat flour that we just ground. Then I'm gonna see if I can blend up some Earl Grey tea. I feel very bad because my friend was over here the other day and he really likes Earl Grey, and I kind of forgot that I had these because they were tucked away in a forgotten canister. It's definitely not the finest it could be, but I think we can make do. Okay, so the first flavor we should do is matcha. Let's get that out of the way. We have some oat flour. I'm also thinking of, what else do I have? I also have some leftover almond flour, which we can put in one of these batches. I feel like almond could go really well with coffee or matcha. It doesn't sound bad with matcha. Wait, that's actually brilliant. Somebody just said put oat flour in with the tea. You're so smart. Gosh, I have such smart viewers. Brilliant. Brilliant minds. Much better. Thank you. All right, now we just have to replace this. Except I don't know how. All right. Well, this is going to be the batch with Earl Grey because I don't know how much I took out. Never mind matcha. Matcha will be next in line. I'm going to put in, like, this is, by the way, also expired from Mom's. I'm going to put in, like, half a tablespoon of this. We need some baking powder, I think. do 1.5 teaspoon. So for the Earl Grey, I'll use a little bit of rye. I don't know why other than I have it, and I should probably use it up. Yep, it's Best Buy November 2020. So we're going to do 90 grams of rye. And we'll do 30 grams of almond flour. We're going to do a pinch of Mom's iodized table salt. There are some recipes out there. It seems like for digestives, homemade ones, it's relatively simple. It's like 2 types of flour, a little bit of baking powder, sugar, and butter. For the most part, it's basically like a slightly healthier shortbread. Some people add a little bit of milk to help it cohere. I'm going to try to use up some of Mom's leftover honey, the crystallized one, so that we can empty out that jar. So every little bit will be a little, every little cookie iteration will be a little bit different. I'm thinking the honey can go with the matcha, and I think we can put some black sesame seeds into the matcha. And I think for the coffee, we can use some pinole up. Alright, time to go in with the butter. I think we should do like 4 tablespoons to start and then see how the texture feels. Oh, you know what? We also need sugar. Okay. Just gonna use some like organic granulated. I'll go in with 55 grams, which is usually like about a 1/4 cup of sugar, but I'm not really keeping track here. Alright, let's go in with butter. 4 tablespoons of butter. 4 times 14 is 56 grams. Great. 56 grams of butter. I'm just going to work it in with my hands, kind of like making pie dough, except this butter is at a softened state. Yes, you can microwave crystallized honey for sure. We might do that. It's in a glass jar. I find it a little bit questionable when you're microwaving the honey bears because that's plastic and I really don't want that plastic to like degrade, you know? So my baking powder is so old, I'm finding chunks of it. Little clumps of baking powder. Yeah, I know. The honey bears are really low quality honey. I mean, a lot of the honey apparently in China is also just like fake honey, so that kind of shit also exists. Erin, you come from the land of digestives. Have you ever made these? So I'm just working it in until all of the flowers feel a little bit damp. You're looking for like slightly wet sand feeling. And I don't really want clumps of butter in here like you might want flakes of butter in your pie dough for that action of lamination basically, but we're just looking to distribute the butter evenly into the flour. I can't taste the difference between clover or wildflower, to be honest, but if I had to choose, probably clover. I find that it's a little less cloying. Okay, so I don't currently have milk in my house, but I also wonder if I can use that sour cream that I've been neglecting. These could be like sour cream digestives. Again, this is a very trashy experimentation, like it always is here. Oh, wrong Erin, maybe. Sorry. Mistaken identities. That's what it looks like. Oh, my refrigerator's broken. Oh, shit. That's not good. Okay, well, here is some Faye sour cream that expired 11/11/21. But it never peeled, so I think we're good. And I'm actually gonna taste this a little bit because I've never had Faye sour cream. That's good. I bet Fred will love this, for sure. Okay, we're gonna go in with, well, let's see, there's 16 tablespoons in here. That's too much. Oopsies. I want to do like 3 tablespoons, so 45 grams-ish. Start with that. starker. I might have to go in with my hands after all. This is very, very thick. I'm trying to make some digestives. It's in the title, y'all. I did a good job today titling this live. It is accurate. Bye, Sarah. You've not missed much, Erin, I don't think. If anybody has made digestives before at home, please let me know what the dough is supposed to be like, 'cause I have no clue. I think we have to go with a little more sour cream. Maybe my original estimation was correct. So that makes 5 tablespoons. That might be a little too much, but we'll see. You know what I should do is taste the dough a little bit, which I will do now after 4 more rolls. Oh wow, that tastes pretty good. I think 5 tablespoons is good for this batch. Yeah, go me. Consider Biscoff a shortbread? Yes, I think so. What do you guys think? So for the first time in a very long time, I will be putting this dough into plastic wrap because, as I mentioned on last night's live, Mom had a roll of plastic wrap left over. I normally don't use plastic wrap, but there's no point in keeping that roll of plastic wrap forever, and I might as well use it. So that's what we're going to do to store this dough. The weirdest flavor at the ice cream place, I didn't really look at all of their flavors, to be honest with you. I would say the noodle one is definitely the weirdest because noodles, when was the last time you've seen noodles in an ice cream flavor? I'm not trying to work the dough too much. I'm just trying to get it to stick to itself and cohere so that I can wrap it up without it crumbling all over the place. And then we can make our next flavor. Yum. Have I ever had Filipino cheese ice cream? Not yet, no. I do live in the little Philippines in Woodside though, so chances are I can probably find it here if that's a popular thing. to Mom for the Glad cling wrap. And many other things that she has gifted me over the years. So this is the way I like to wrap pie dough. I basically like to mold the wrap as close as I can to the shape of the dough, and then I place it on a flat surface and I squish it out with my hands so that you can close up all the little cracks that happen, and this will also help you push out some air, but it might also break the plastic like there. So I'm gonna have to patch the plastic. If you push too forcefully, you might break the plastic. If you had air trapped in there that couldn't get out, you'll break the plastic as well when you're trying to push too much. But generally speaking, this is my preferred way of wrapping pie dough. When I had to do it at restaurants, this is the way I did it. Okay, here's our Earl Grey. What's today's date? I don't want to think about it. 28th. Okay. All right, one down. Next one, matcha. I was wondering what the little noise was, and I think it's the Instant Pot trying to release pressure. We're gonna go with 70 grams here because the matcha is gonna add dryness. We're going to go ahead and wipe out this almond flour so I can clear this container. That was about 10 grams of almond flour. Actually, no, that wasn't. That is whatever. I don't remember anymore. Okay. We have a lot of matcha. I think we have about a tablespoon all in. 5 grams of it. And then we have our black sesame. And then I'm gonna go in with a little extra milk powder. We need our baking powder. One and a half. What am I looking for here? I keep looking for something. Shit. Well, I don't remember what I was looking for. I think we need a little bit more, oof. flour because I don't want to use too much rye for the matcha flavor. So, let's see. It's about 80 grams. 45 more. That sounds good. Pretty much the same batch size. I'm gonna go ahead and heat up this honey. Oh, we need a pinch of salt. I just remembered I also have this little packet of matcha. I might as well use it because it expired March 2021. And it is, wow, a lot greener in color. This one looks way better for use. So our matcha cookies will actually look maybe green rather than not green. Maybe, we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and add in our butter first because it has the least amount of moisture when it comes to sour cream, honey, and butter, which means we can hold off on developing some of the gluten for now. Because once you have moisture in your dough, you have gluten development, which will make for tough cookies, which I think are fine when it comes to digestives, but like we don't want to make it tougher than we have to. But yeah, I've never made digestives before, so I have no clue. Freddie! Fred, do you want to come lick butter? That was 21 grams. Freddie, here, come lick some butter. It's really good cultured French butter that Mom never used. It's good stuff, isn't it, Freddie? It tastes like popcorn. Do you taste the popcorn? You want more? There's a little more, if you look for it. It's not a lot, I know. You done? Did you like it? Yay, Freddie. Okay. Back to cooking. I need a little more butter, but I'm gonna wash my hands first. Because cat. Thank you for your service, Fred. grams. We need 56 total. 35 more. We're gonna move on to the Organic Valley butter that I gave Mom that she never used. It is very yellow, very yellow. Okie dokie. Our honey is liquefied. If I do this, you can see Fred. Should have angled my camera better before I got my hands buttery. I'm going to use the honey to replace some of the sugar, but I don't think we have enough in that jar. Because matcha is already bitter, I want a little bit more sweetness potentially, so we'll have to gauge. I'm thinking about just going in with a little bit of granulated sugar to begin with. That way if we run out of honey, I won't have to overwork the dough too much. This is not gluten-free, it has rye flour in it, but you are welcome to substitute with all gluten-free oat flour, and it should be okay to be gluten-free, but rye flour is not gluten-free. I've forgotten how much I like to make random desserts. I think since Mom passed, I haven't really had time to like cook for fun. I haven't really had time to do anything for fun, I guess. I went to Astoria today. Originally I was going to drop off compost there, but I went to the Jackson Heights market instead to drop off my compost. This is my first week since Mom's death that I dropped off compost. So I'm trying to ease back into my routine before her death. Then I went to Astoria, dropped off some items with a viewer, and then met up with my friend and took a walk with him in the neighborhood. And then I came back home to Woodside. So at least I got some outside time today. I went to see Grandma in the morning. Very briefly. I feel bad, but I feel like once I start working full time, I won't be able to sit with her for more than half an hour every day. That's just going to be the way it is. I have to take care of myself, and I have to meet my own needs. So I'm going to feel guilty about it, but I'm going to feel guilty about a lot of things. I have to remind myself that my mom wore herself too thin, and I cannot fall into the trap of that. 21 grams of sugar. Plus, let me mix in that sugar a little bit first. Okay. Plus, 35 grams-ish of honey. So this should hopefully be enough sugar. If I keep scraping, I might end up with a little more, so let's be a little patient with this process. Yeah, this recipe you can definitely substitute for gluten-free flours. I don't see a problem with that. You just want to make sure that you use something that's got more binding power than 100% almond flour. Almond flour might be really hard to like clobber together. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind. Otherwise, there's a lot of gluten-free flours that you can try to use. You can try to use a mix of oats, buckwheat flour. Buckwheat might be really good actually in this. I kind of forgot that I had buckwheat flour. Now I'm kind of regretting it. Damn. Okay, we're gonna add in grams, so that's 4 tablespoons. Let's start with that. We might have to go up a little bit because we used 5 on the last one. This is what it looks like currently. I really do not recommend using coconut flour for more than 10% of your flour distribution when baking gluten-free. Coconut flour behaves so differently, and it is really rich in both flavor and fattiness. It burns really fast, and yes, it needs a lot of hydration to make it work. So it's the worst gluten-free flour to do one-on-one substitutions with because it just does not substitute at all one-on-one. Oh, I think I got this dough a little too wet. Uh-oh. Yeah, that honey definitely messed me up. All right, let's see. We can fix it. Let me taste this first. Needs a little more sugar. 27 grams more sugar. So that means we went in with about 50 grams of sugar plus, I don't know, 40 grams of honey. The matcha definitely needs a little bit more sweetness. Let me add in maybe a 1/4 cup of rye. Maybe less. Let's do 20 grams first. Yeah, we're gonna need more. 42 grams. Okay. Yeah, definitely messed up the matcha one a little bit. Went in with a little too much water. Baking with honey as a substitute is tricky. It adds a lot more sweetness per volume of sugar, and it is a liquid, so it's gonna fuck up your textures and consistencies a little bit. Yeah, so we're making trash digestives tonight with a lot of ingredients that we have from Mom's, including her instant oats, which we ground into a flour, her expired butter that I gifted her pre-pandemic times, some milk powder here. I'm also using some of my own ingredients that I need to get rid of, like canola flour, rye flour, okay, this just feels better, for sure. So I think it's a good sign when your dough has little pieces like this that you kind of have to work into incorporating into the ball, because if it is forming a lump very easily, that probably means that you have a dough that's a little bit too wet for the digestive texture. Digestives hold together really well. They should have a little bit of a snap, but they should also be kind of coarse and almost crumbly enough to like just turn into mush in your mouth, hence why I love them. So this looks good to me. I did graduate from college, pretty useless shit. I have an English literature major with education and religion minors. That is what I studied. My number one requirement for attending college was to never take out loans. So when I chose colleges, I made sure that whatever place I went to had either really good financial aid or I was in an honors program where basically tuition was covered. I was basically choosing between Swarthmore, which is where I ended up going, which has pretty good financial aid, and CUNY Honors, Hunter College. CUNY Honors had a program where if you didn't live on campus, and you went to you would forego the free housing that they provided for honor students, then you get to get a $10,000 stipend every year, which I thought was really fucking nifty. So if Swarthmore didn't work out, I likely would have just stayed in New York City and gone to CUNY Honors. It's funny when people say that they like my recipes. I mean, I do make recipes for Delish. Like, I do test those. But the things that I make on these lives are not recipes. They're just kind of like experiments. I would say these are more playing with... Oh, I've ripped this one already. I would say these are more like playing with food and not cooking to eat. Does that make sense? Does that ring true to you guys? Finishing out our bag of rye, we got 35 grams of rye flour going in. This one will be the most experimental because we will be using pinole flour. So 35 rye and then 85 pinole. Then we'll go in with our oat. Whatever. 130. It's a little over. Baking powder. I would say a recipe is, yeah, if you can't replicate it, I don't think it's qualified to be called a recipe. I'm gonna put a little more milk powder in here to balance out that pinole. 4 times as much. We'll see how this turns out. This will be my most experimental dough. We're gonna go in with a little bit of instant coffee. Sorry for the trolls, guys. I don't know why they're here. It always sucks, but thank you for taking care of them. Sugar. You know what? Let's do something outrageous. Let's go in with this Truvia fake sugar. It's a 0-calorie sugar substitute. Why not? Let's see how this works. I have a leftover from a branded campaign for Delish, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. 67 grams. That's about 1/3 of a cup. What else did I want in here? Coffee. Vote below. Do you want coconut in these or not? Maybe I'll use a little more coffee if you're saying it's very sweet. Maybe 2 teaspoons of coffee. Let's see. Yeah, I'm also feeling no coffee. Sorry, I'm also feeling no coconut. Feels a little wrong given how much we've already experimented. But yes, I did put milk powder in here. A lot. Wow, Melissa, that might be an issue. How does he feel about that? I do think I'm gonna put in maybe some seeds in here. What seeds would go well? Should we put lavender in here? Lavender flowers? Is that too much? Here, let me taste this. I think I want to put a little bit of an almond extract. Do I have any is the question. Ah, yes, I do. We have some ground lavender. Lavender is very divisive for people. A lot of people don't like it. I get it, but you know, you're not eating this anyway, so lucky you. So I'm not using cinnamon. Not that mom would like lavender either, but mom definitely would not like cinnamon. She hated cinnamon in desserts because cinnamon is considered a savory spice in Chinese cuisine. So both of my parents had a hard time adjusting to the presence of cinnamon in American desserts. They also hated clove, I think, a lot. But I'm not using cinnamon. We could put a little Bailey's in here, but it might mess up the consistency. Trixie, after you've lived with me for 10 years, I think you will be singing a different tune. I am not an easy person to live with. It's true, I can always eat the digestives with Bailey's, huh? Oh yeah, we could do some nutmeg. That's true. I'm making cookies. I'm actually just making cookie dough because it's already 10:20. I should shower after I end this live so that I could be a human being again with a job that I have to go into the office for. Have people returned to the office for their jobs? Have you always been at your office? Has anything changed with the state of emergency being declared in New York? I don't have Disaronno, unfortunately, Hannah. I'm not going to add fennel seed. No. Oh yeah. Oh, that fake sugar tastes so weird. Mm-hmm. Dash of almond. I think we can go even heavier on the coffee, actually. Nutmeg. Added in a little more fake sugar because we added in a little more coffee, so I want to make sure that we keep the sweetness ratio the same. This is pretty on par for our matcha batch too, which was also a little bit more bitter than the Earl Grey. About a half a cup of sugar. I don't have candied ginger. I do have some dates, like 3. I haven't tried monk fruit. Okay, that is weird. I'm gonna put in a little bit of baking soda in here. We have milk. It should be able to offset. I'm not sure why, but I just feel like this might need it. $56 grams of sour cream. I don't label my jars, but I should. So shortbreads have no eggs, but if you want soft cookies, yes, you need eggs as a binder. You can also make vegan eggs. I've made cookies with a flaxseed or a chia seed egg. Those work. Since digestives are basically like shortbready, crackery type biscuits, they're not really like soft chocolate chip style snickerdoodles. Those need eggs. You could probably use yogurt in place of sour cream. Why not? It's the same amount of moisture. Sour cream has a little bit higher of a fat content, so there will be a taste difference and potentially a slight variation in the bake, but not much. So this dough feels a little bit wetter than our previous batch, but it's because it has pinole in it, and I don't know if I should be using more, but $37 grams. A good substitute for buttermilk. I use yogurt. Okay, now it is a little too loose. Oops. We gotta play this game now, huh? How do I store my empty ones? Just in the cupboard. Sometimes I can stack smaller ones on top of larger ones. this is definitely a harder dough to pull together because of the pinole flour. It's coarser, it has probably 0 gluten because it's all corn. So this is what I mean when I say when you make gluten-free cookies, you really have to like find a dough that is a good binder. Otherwise, you will be struggling with it like I am here. Yes, thank you, Jasmine. We're gonna have to eat some of that Instant Pot meal before I go for the night. These cookies will get rolled out and cut to shape. They're basically similar to shortbreads. There's a binding from the butter, barely, and the sour cream is the main thing. It's so crumbly, y'all. I think we're just gonna have to do a rough transfer and hope it doesn't go as bad as I think it might. Squash Blossom video is on delish.com. We're apparently doing a test kitchen organizational clean out tomorrow, so it'll be a little more hands-on, which I'm looking forward to, for sure. I fear that this pinole one is actually not going to turn into cookies. It's a little too crumbly, unfortunately. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully after it hydrates for a few days, it'll be a little more cohesive and easier to work with. is hilarious. I have like the tiniest bit of sour cream. Maybe we can eat it with our soup right now because this is ridiculous. As for the honey jar, I'm gonna do one thing. I'm going to pour some red tea in here and swish it. Mom really liked to not waste honey jars, and she liked to swish it out with some sort of a liquid, just so we can enjoy every single last bit. So, in honor of Mom, we're gonna have some red tea. It might keep me awake all night, but. We can probably, actually, let me not. This was my sugar container. We have so little flour from the oats left now. I can probably just transfer it in here. Perfect. We're gonna go ahead and release the steam, or pressure rather. None. It's been cooling for an hour plus now. Mushtastic. smells entirely like farts right now in my kitchen. That is intense. That smell is intense. Holy schmoly. Instant Pot has gochujang, little Korean anchovies, chicken broth, green lentils, half-cooked mung beans, steamed brown glutinous rice, turnips, carrots, black pepper, fermented black beans. I just realized I never put fat in there. Frick. That's not going to taste very good. It's okay. We'll save it with our sour cream and our cheese, I guess. There's rice in there. That's a grain, right? Rice is a grain? Make my own chicken broth. I never make my own chicken broth. I just buy better than bouillon when I need it for videos, for cooking videos. Chicken broth I feel like is a very American ingredient. I never grew up with my parents using chicken broth. They just use water to cook meat, and then we eat the meat with the broth that it cooked in. This chicken broth I had because somebody, like PR, mailed me a package for Thanksgiving. It came with a stuffing mix, which came with chicken broth. So I was like, alright, well I'm gonna use it, I guess. Alright, let's eat. I'm gonna use a tiny bowl to infuriate myself. Let us taste for seasoning. We got turnip, we got turnip greens, we got carrots, we have little anchovy fishes, we have lentils, I don't know if you can make ramen broth in an Instant Pot. Probably. Why not? It's just like any other cooker. You can cut the turnip now with the spoon. So turnips behave a little bit like radishes, I guess. They have turned the entire pot a little bit bitter. If your Instant Pot comes with an air fryer attachment, I think you can, but I'm not sure. I am new to the Instant Pot world, y'all. Mom had this in her kitchen. Probably never used it, so I inherited it. Gonna add in some sour cream. Do I like mush? You don't know me, do you? Mmm. Oh my gosh. Yes. That sour cream makes it taste so creamy, so much fattier and richer, and also it makes that bitterness go away. It's really helping the turnip bitterness quite a lot, actually. Sour cream for the win. I'm pretty sure I have English on mine. Haven't had Brazilian beans. Tell me where I can find them in New York City. I would love to eat more mush. Don't worry, I still have the salty cheese, so we'll be fine. The anchovies are now chewy. I love them. They're like fishy gummies. It's fascinating how your brain travels. I was just thinking about when I bought the sour cream and what recipes I had wanted to use it in for delish before I went on my trip to Cairo. And I had thought about how I realized on the last day of shooting I wasn't going to use it, and I was worried about it expiring. And I looked at the date and I was like, oh, it'll be fine. November, I'll have time to use it when I come back from my trip, which was supposed to end on October 11th. And then Mom died. And I just keep having these moments during my day that constantly, not in like a forceful way, but it just occurs to me like, oh, that happened before Mom died, and now Mom's dead. And I just keep having these moments of like remembering the near distant past of when Mom was still alive, and just feeling a little bit in disbelief that she's gone, and how recently I had spoken to her, and all of these things that I had wanted to do with her when I came back from my trip in Cairo. And I can't help but think that she was really worried for me, for my safety in Cairo, given the traffic and the noise pollution and just the general fact of it being Egypt, and knowing how my mom stresses and worries about every single little thing that could harm me, all the potential dangers of life, and trying to convince myself not to feel like I'm responsible for her death. But also knowing that at least 10 to 15% is my fault. I think I'm not being self-blaming, but I think I weighed heavily on her mind. I wonder if there was anything I could have done. But probably not. I did what I did. Some comments that are left on these lives are saying like, oh, you left your grandma in a retirement home, yada, yada, yada. And some of them say like, you'll regret it. And I'm like, you know, yes, I will regret it. But regret is inevitable. Like today when I got angry at grandma because she just keeps storing trash in her drawers. Like she'll keep all the disposable cups that they give her on a daily basis to take her pills in. And she keeps saving like condiments, open packets of something. Like yesterday she kept piling stuff on top of her tiny desk by her bedside. And she had this tiny plastic cup left over from breakfast or lunch of a prune sitting in syrup. And she was reaching for something on her desk that was very overcrowded, and she knocked it over, and the juice splattered everywhere. And the prune was in her shoe, and it landed in the cup in her shoe, but also the juice had kind of like splattered upon impact. And I just got so annoyed because not only did I have to clean it up, I had to convince her that like I'm gonna throw away this prune now that landed in your shoe. And she was like, well, I'm gonna eat that. And I'm like, it's in your shoe. I now have to clean the floor and your shoe and yell at you to not keep trash because it's just a mess. But also I'm reminded of the ways in which my mother basically behaved in the same way, where she expected my grandmother to improve her habits, to change in some way. And I realized when my mom was still alive and having these arguments with my grandmother about what my grandmother should be doing, that it was futile. It was a hopeless lost cause. So now when I find myself getting frustrated with whatever's happening at grandma's, I remind myself she's not really at fault. She's really fucking old. I'm really not at fault because I'm just really stressed, and this is just a situation, and if I can't make things better, then I just need to detach myself from the situation. Otherwise I will just sink in too deeply into spite. I think spite is going to be a recurring theme. And that spite isn't just towards grandma and her perceived bad habits. That spite is coming from a place of just accumulated emotions that are both identified and unidentifiable, because they're just melting into this tangle of molten lava that is just kind of bubbling away at my core, subconsciously, sometimes consciously when it boils over. I will be mean to her because I have anger within me. And I recognize that it is not good to be angry at my grandmother. But I will still probably be angry at her. Probably frequently angry at her. But it's not really anger because of her. It's because of my preference to not be in the situation. It is basically anger at the status quo of my life. So I'm just gonna try my best to remind myself of that. And who knows, maybe grandma will outlive me. You really don't know. She's about to turn 94 in January. Mom's death has really been like a breakup for me. I haven't had many relationships, like romantic relationships in my life, and I don't want this to be like taken in a very Oedipal way, but like I listen to breakup songs that pop up in my Spotify now, and I'm just like, wow, these lyrics really apply to my situation about how I feel towards Mom now. You know, not in a weird like romantic or sexual way. It's just like I loved her. She was so much a part of me. Now she's gone, and I have so many regrets and questions that I can't even sort through them. I'm not angry at Mom. I'm angry at myself for not being there for her. But too little, too late. And also trying to rationalize why I shouldn't feel guilty because Mom didn't make her wishes known to me. Maybe just a victim of her upbringing, that she was always taught to be not a burden to others and to always take on other people's burden, and that was the way to be a good person. Which is why there was a comment left on a live maybe a couple of nights ago, and the comment was like, June's meaner, and somebody replied and said, yeah, I noticed that too, I'm so glad you pointed it out, it's like bringing me down. And I'm just like, of course I'm fucking meaner. It's not just because my mom died and I'm on a short fuse with all the pressures and stresses of having to handle her affairs while rain checking, dealing with the fact that my mom's gone. It's because I noticed and realized in her passing that all she did her life was to look out for other people and plan for other people's happiness. And she always put her fulfillment on the back burner until she no longer recognized what she needed, wanted, desired. So of course I'm gonna be mean, because being mean sometimes is a sign of self-care, when you have to shut down other people in order to take care of yourself. Mom never prioritized herself. So, in order to learn how to prioritize myself, I'm going to have to fluctuate between the extremes of only prioritizing myself and being at the utmost end of the spectrum of selfishness, so that I can learn to gauge what it means to give myself what I need when I need it. Doesn't always mean that I'll be this mean, but it might. If I decide that nobody else fucking matters and they can all go eat shit and die, then maybe I'll be this mean forever. And what does it matter to other people how mean I am, right? There's a lot of really mean people in the world. Some of them, we forgive them. For what reasons? I don't know. Some of them hardly do anything wrong and we don't forgive them. For what reasons? I'm not sure. I think our dislike for other people comes from a place of deeply seated insecurities that we have not yet started to grapple with in ourselves. I find so many people on Instagram, when they see me write a long posts about feeling depression, telling me that therapy is out there, I can seek help, it changes lives, I can take medications, I can cycle through them. I don't know if those people know my status in regards to being in therapy or not, taking medications or not, but the fact that strangers will immediately jump on with advice to seek therapy or seek medication makes me think that they need it a lot, because that's what they want to see me do so that they can vicariously feel better and healed through my actions. They need to see my arc come to a happy conclusion of contentment. I think what happens when I write those posts about grief, depression, anger, and all these so-called negative emotions, it triggers people, right? Nobody likes to read sad things. That's why Hollywood makes movies with happy fucking endings 99% of the time. But why is it that we always try to cure sadness? I'm not trying to justify letting depression fester. But I am also saying that there is an emphasis in our current society right now in terms of taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, as if it were an individual responsibility to always be happy all the fucking time. It is not possible to always be happy all the fucking time in this society right now, because we do not facilitate happiness. We do not facilitate contentment. We teach from a young age that you need things to be happy, other people's approval to be happy. You need all these things that you might not actually need to sustain yourself as a human being with a righteous way of living that works out for you. But we are taught that we need all of these things and we need outside validation. And maybe sometimes that's what makes us miserable. We have learned to listen to other people's advice for us and disregard our own paths. We have not been told how to walk. We have been told how to use crutches. You can't really run on crutches. So I think most people who leave those comments are coming from a good place, but I am also asking us to examine, re-examine whether or not it is the right thing to do to always tell someone to go to therapy and get on medication whenever they show signs of suffering. Why is it that we can't allow suffering to be acknowledged as a natural part of life? Because it is. Because the moment you are born, you are going to suffer. It's just a matter of what kind of suffering you go through and how big or small it is relative to other people. The fact that our country does not currently allow everyone to access mental health care is also an issue. We are telling people you need to live green, be healthy, eat good things, go to therapy, take care of yourself, do self-care. And yes, it comes from a place of well-being and well-wishing for other people, but the fact that we haven't made all these resources available to everyone, then it becomes another duty, another obligation at which we will fail. When we make these things individualized, we are telling anyone who cannot participate in these activities, you are not doing good enough. You are not doing enough. You need to do better. And it's this emphasis on the individual taking action, as if their agency were always 100% in their own court. That feels wrong to me. And I'm not trying to shame anyone for going to therapy or taking medication. Some people, those are the methods by which they will find themselves again. And those are the methods by which they will learn to live with themselves again. but it's this generalized sentiment of therapy will cure you and meds will cure you. Like, that bothers me. Therapy, yeah, I agree with Ashley. Therapy is not about curing, it's about managing, right? Life is about pain management. Therapy will help you find ways and methods that will help you in managing your life, your pain, yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your own mental prisons. But therapy is not the end-all be-all. So, with that being said, I'm gonna start with some therapy sessions and we'll see. I had one session, I really wasn't a fan. I felt like my therapist talked a little too much and it was always like trying to chat with me and not really about my issues at hand, but we'll see. I have 6 sessions left for this year that are covered by the employer. Obviously, we don't really have 6 weeks left, so I'm just going to use them out, and then we'll see. Better use them or lose them. But that was my rant of the night. Y'all are welcome to raise different points. I love learning about different perspectives on this. But it has been unconsciously, I think for the most part, a little bit overwhelming to see people see mentions of depression and go straight towards, you need therapy, you need medication. It reminded me a lot of going to the gynecologist and being like, hey, I have all these problems associated with my menstrual cycle. I don't know what's going on. I'm experiencing a lot of pain. And without fail, every single gynecologist I've seen prescribes me birth control of some sort to regulate the hormones. There is like no other alternative. I would like to see us broaden the discussion on mental health and talk about the different methods through which we can gain access to ourselves, our thoughts, and our worldviews. Because I think right now, especially in the last 5 years, this very straight shot for therapy is the answer, medication will cure you. It's just like, it feels like we're treating it as a certainty. And I would just like to reintroduce some uncertainty back, because I feel like life is always going to be uncertain. So let's just dwell in the uncertainties. Hi, Freddy. Fluffy belly. Hey, Google. Sorry, I had to do that so you guys could see Fred better. I love you, Fred. I actually really like Gestalt therapy. I think I studied like Psych 101 or Therapy 101 in college, and I was really drawn to Gestalt. I don't even remember what Gestalt is, besides, I think the therapist kind of mirrors your movements and your speech patterns, and it kind of projects you onto a embodied mirror of sorts. I thought that was really cool. Um, but yeah, the different kinds of therapies that are out there, I love that there are different methods of therapies. Psychotherapy definitely, like the old Freudian talk therapy, doesn't really work for me. But I'm happy to try all of them out. It's just, sometimes mental health costs an arm and a leg, and it's really hard to find a provider who you can really vibe with, especially. I mean, I'm a little bit different because, as you can see, my life is an open book to absolute strangers, but for some other people, it's really hard to talk about personal shit like that with a stranger, and then not have them be a match. So there's definitely improvements that we can try to make within the healthcare system. But can you hear him purring? You little snaggletooth? You little snaggletooth? Wow. You are so cute, aren't you? Aren't you? You're so silly. What you staring at in the ceiling? Is Mom here? Alright, guys. I hope you have a glorious week. I don't know when I'll next go live, but it'll be soon. Yeah. Have a good night.